All right, so we're here at Niagara Falls Boulevard and Maple, I believe. Yeah, Brighton, but it does turn into Maple. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. No worries.
So, what brings you out today?
I think it's just important, to do what we can as citizens of the country, when things are happening that we disagree with. A lot of people here with a lot of different issues, but we're all kind of uniting under just one common theme that, we don't like the authoritarian direction that the country's going. We want to ensure rights for everyone, anti-war, and just doing what we can as citizens.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when it says "Don't make me repeat myself," and that's history.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people have kind of come up with parallels between this and the beginnings of 1930s, German Nazi. Sorry, it's a lot of noise. A lot of Nazi ideology that started in kind of similar ways. So, it's just important to be aware of what's happened before and try to stop that before it happens again.
Awesome. And then, how long have you been coming out here? Is this your first time, or?
I think we started coming out here in January. This is probably like my 4th or 5th time out here, and the No Kings I go to as well. Yeah.
Awesome. And then, do you vote every year, or?
Yeah, every year, local elections and presidential and everything.
Awesome. Do you have any thoughts on any of the state or local elections that are happening this year? And obviously, there's some Congress races as well locally.
Yeah. I have to honestly do more research on it. I still got a couple months, but so I don't have any concrete thoughts on it yet. I don't want to give it uninformed ideas there.
Anything about the governor's race at all, or?
The governor's race, I do like Kathy Hochul, but there's always room for improvement.
No, I understand. And then, when you were out in January, was there a specific cause that brought you out in January?
Yeah, I think January, it all started with Minnesota. Everything that was happening in Minnesota really got me kind of riled up, and I just all the ICE shootings there and everything that was going on there kind of brought it out of me.
So that was obviously Renee Good and Alex Preddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so that had to do with them responding to ICE enforcement that was happening.
Right. Yeah, and just the difference in the narratives of what we could see on the footage and what the government was telling us. Just some clear discrepancies and lies, and I really did not agree with that.
And then what would you say to those who say, okay, well, there's too many immigrants that are coming into the country or have already come into the country? What would you say to those people?
I would say, definitely just because someone's an immigrant doesn't mean they're a bad person. This country needs immigrants. I am not against there being forms of vetting immigrants and making sure that we don't have a lot of criminal immigrants coming into the country. But I think there's been a lot of vilifying of immigrants in general. But that's just my take on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what would you say to those who say, those ICE agents are only going after criminals that are illegal immigrants?
Yeah, I would say that the statistics, there's been multiple reports and everything that show that is not the case. I believe the number was less than 25% of them were actually criminals. So I think that's just a provable incorrect fact.
And then do you think that if Harris had won the election, there would be a lot less immigration enforcement, or what would you think her policy would have been? Or
it's really hard to say. It'd be kind of just guessing, but there likely would have been less immigration enforcement, and just the way that the immigration enforcement has been happening in these mass waves, a lot of just mass arrests, very disorganized. I don't think that would have happened. It would have been more people talk about the Obama era and how there was a lot of people that were removed from the country then, but there was no commotion about it because it was done in a more organized, humane kind of way. So I'm thinking, if anything, that's probably more along the lines of what would have happened.
Okay, and I'll be honest with you, there's a few more younger people that are here, and obviously you're younger. Most of the times I've come out, it's been mostly older crowds.
Yeah.
What would you say to the younger people who say, I don't care about politics. It doesn't affect my life.
Yeah, I was actually just talking about that with this woman right here, and it's it's like silence is just like a form of it's almost, I think there's a quote about like how doing nothing is like almost as bad as actively doing something bad, you know? You gotta get out. I know it doesn't seem like much, but you know, just showing your support and like grouping together and letting everybody else know that they're not alone out there in their thoughts and their ideals, like it's important. And you gotta do what you can. You know, voting is obviously the most important, but if you want to make a difference, this makes a difference in some small way and helps you become part of a community.
And then do you think that we can make more of a change on national issues or more of a change with state and local issues? Or
obviously, I'd say it's easier to make a change at a state and local level, but you know, it all stems up from there. You know, we're a big state. We have a lot of impact. You know, nationwide, we have New York City and everything, so a lot of stuff can start local, and you know, even politicians start local and they go up. So yeah, important to stay active locally in elections and everything as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
You want to say your name at all for the record?
John.
John, pleasure.
Thank